Sports Team presents your Southern Tier Kickoff.
Thank you for staying with us this morning and welcome back in. We move now to the Midwest and the Big Ten championship game. An unexpected matchup between the #1 in the CFP brackets right now, the Oregon Ducks, and #3 Penn State. Kyle Spizak breaks down the Big Ten title game for us. Kyle, what can we expect at Lucas Oil?
Thanks, Zach. And with a huge upstate last week in the shoe, seeing #2 Buckeyes fall to the Michigan Wolverines, this opened up the door for Penn State to control their destiny and have the chance to win their second Big Ten championship since 2018. The Nittany Lions head to Indianapolis, where they take on the #1 team in the past 5 weeks in the Oregon Ducks. Last week, Penn State really came together on offense, pummeling Maryland 44-7 on a cold Happy Valley night. This game saw Tyler Warren break the Penn State tight end touchdown record, and he is currently 5 yards away from breaking the Big Ten all-time tight end receiving yards record. Singleton was back and healthy for the first time really this year as well, rushing for 2 tutties on 87 yards and 13 carries. Getting these playmakers involved will be huge in this game, as Coach Franklin stressed the need to stay ahead of the sticks in tonight's matchup.
The thing that really kind of stands out when you look at Oregon is you want to stay out like everybody does, but you want to stay out of obvious passing situations. You want to stay ahead of the sticks. Starting fast against this type of team is going to be really important. We're going to have to play well for 4 quarters.
And that audio is a little bit rough, but so is this time of the year for many teams. The keys to the game for Penn State tonight will be, for one, stopping those explosive plays. Oregon is able to get downfield, get those 25-yard-plus plays. They got to limit those this game. That was their big fault against Ohio State. Second, the Nittany Lions need to get the ball to their playmakers' hands. Get it to Singleton and Warren. They're your best guys. They can get you those yards. Lastly, Penn State has a dominant pass rush, with Abdul Carter having 10 sacks and 20 tackles for loss this year. They need to be dominant on defense and contain Gabriel in the pocket.
I'm guessing Coach Franklin did his press conference at the JMA Wireless Dome as well.
Yeah, right?
We got to be careful, though. I hope they're not a sponsor or anything like that. So, listen, we are going to break down everything that is the Penn State game and the Big Ten championship that you can find here. You can watch that right on WBNG. That's going to be coming up in just a few moments as we head into our picks. We're going to break down the 4 big conference championship games in just a few moments. But we're going to move on up I-81 just a little bit, where a Syracuse Orange team turned around this year and turned it around with first-year head coach Fran Brown and Ohio State transfer Kyle McCord at quarterback. Michael, how'd the Orange go ahead and do that all this season?
Yeah, well, the Syracuse Orange went 9-3 this season with a big upset win over #6 Miami Hurricanes. The Orange came back and won it after being down 21 points in the first half. 42-38. Syracuse went 6-1 at home and 5-3 in conference this season. First-year head coach Fran Brown is now the second head coach to record a 9 regular season wins in his first year at the helm. Quarterback Kyle McCord led the country in passing yards per game with 360, and completions per game with 30. McCord holds the Syracuse single-season records for passing yards and touchdowns in a season with 29 touchdowns and throwing for 4,326 yards. Kyle McCord was also named a Manning Award finalist. Here's what head coach Fran Brown had to say when asked if this year lived up to his vision.
No, not at all. Wanted to win a national championship. Wanted to go to the conference championship. Those 2 things didn't happen, but I guess it's progress, but, I wanted to go to a national championship. There was nothing else on my mind except for trying to repeat what happened in 1959 or at least 1987. Like, those 2 things were important to me, and we fell short of that, but we're growing, so we just got to keep pushing. But I will never be satisfied with second place or third place. That's like loser's mentality. But I'm happy for our players that our seniors got to raise the standard of what it takes to be a Syracuse football player.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what it does take to be a Syracuse football player, because there was a few big stars this year. You talk about Pena, Gadsden, you talk about McCord. So how do you replace them? I mean, not everyone is leaving, but we were just talking about, is this a spark or is this the kindling to, reflame the Syracuse program?
That's my concern, is that this year was such a big boost or a jump start to the program that next year the expectations are now there. You're now at a 9-3 team. So Fran Brown, he went out and got Kyle McCord. He had that connection. That's great because the transfer portal is like the free agency now of college football. So he went out and got a big name quarterback. Now, can you do that again? He's leaving, probably going to go to the NFL draft. And can you go replace him with either another, we were talking about transfer, or do you go get a recruit? Now, Fran Brown was the number 1 recruiter in the nation when he was the defensive backs coach at Georgia. So that's why you go out and hire him. But it's going to take some time to kind of build that pipeline and recruiting background. They did have a bunch of recruits at the Miami game, so that's going to help with getting a big win there. But it's definitely going to help.
All right, so let's talk real quick about recruiting. You had mentioned some that are already there, a couple hundred at the Miami game. What can we expect as we bring them in?
Yeah, I think something that's really interesting, we mentioned that Fran Brown is known as a recruiter. But the one thing that Syracuse football has sort of struggled with in recent years is bringing guys that are already in Syracuse, already in the city, into the program. This year, they have three guys coming in from Christian Brothers Academy in Syracuse, who's going to be playing tonight at the Dome in the AA championship game. Those guys are Academy in Albany. Exactly. But those guys are staying in Syracuse because they want to play for Fran Brown. Typically, the best players on that team are going all across the country. But these guys want to stay in Cuse, and that's a first big step for this program.
Yeah, and actually, you talk about just the Syracuse area, but if you go on to 24/7 or Rivals or Max Prep right now, you look at the top recruits across New York State, there's a lot of orange S's next to their name, where there used to be Penn State, there used to be Rutgers, there used to be those other schools. You're seeing a lot staying right here in the central New York area. And we want you to stay right here as well, as we'll be back in just a few moments with the picks for all 4 of the big-time championship games coming up this afternoon.